Board of Health of September 4th to order. The first item on the agenda is a review of the minutes of the August 7th meeting. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes as mailed or seen online?
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is the Pride Star EMS report and notifications submitted by Sean Kelly. Hi. Good.
So, do you want to come over closer so it's on?
You just hold.
Oh, nice. I appreciate that. Thank you. So the July opiate report, really nothing ordinary. It was a little bit down from the previous July. I know that was the first on the agenda, but really nothing kind of out of the ordinary for that goes. The EMS report to the city. So we have it broken into two parts. We've been trying to work on finding those contract calls we talked about last time. We do have that part done. It's at the back, so I know we got a full agenda. For the main report that we've done forever, it was 89.6 something or other, but that includes the 5th, 6th, 17th 911 call, okay? So does anybody have any questions on the front half, like the traditional report?
So I just had a question.
Sure.
Before. Can you just remind me how you decide when you're looking at the calls that took more than 8 minutes, how you decide that one of the reasons obviously that cited is distance?
Yep.
And how something gets into that category?
Sure. So when we look at it, it's kind of like we talked about before, it kind of ends up being the default. So the dispatcher got the call out within a minute. The crew was en route within, let's say, 2 minutes, minute 30 seconds. They went the correct way to the address. They're following posting assignments, and it's kind of there's nothing else, right? So, there's, especially now, right? So today with school buses, we can't drive past school buses. So a lot of times you're just stuck in traffic. Right, even with the lights and sirens go, you just have to wait. So when we look at the camera feed and we try to when you look at all the other problems and there's nothing else, it kind of ends up just being distance because sure, yeah, it's right, exactly. We could probably change the name and make it a little bit clearer, but
Yeah, so it could be something, a call that's not that far away from where your ambulance is stationed. It's not really distance from the departure site.
it could be. Generally it is, but you're right. If let's say there's a school bus right in front of us and the call's a half mile away and the kids they keep coming off the school bus, we just have to wait. Right? So when you do the root cause analysis of everything else, it just kind of gets into that bucket.
Okay.
I know it's not the greatest explanation, but
No, it's explains it perfectly.
so I'm sorry.
Does anyone have any questions on the first part of the quarterly report on standards from Trinity, from Pride Star Trinity?
So if you go to page 20, so this is what we've been working on for the last 4 months. We're trying to find the on-contract calls. Up until this meeting, whenever we've been able to present it, it was only on those calls we missed, right? So if a call takes us more than 8 minutes and 0 seconds to get there, we do a root cause analysis. We look at what happened. If it takes it less than that, we don't. So it was difficult for us to find the first 4 calls if we did well. So what we've done basically is we reached out to a couple contractors. They were able to make some macros in Excel and do some stuff. Just leave it at stuff. So basically we can take a list of all the calls, we put it through the macro, and the macro goes and counts all of the other calls. So it looks when the call was started, and it goes back and says, okay, was the previous 20 calls, which of these was still going on when that call occurred? And then it goes and counts and puts a value for it. So now we're able to look at every run for the city and a corresponding count on how many other 911 calls were going on. So now we're able to break out the first 4, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and that's what we're presenting on page 21.
Right.
So there were So in Lowell, for the last quarter, there were 5,856 requests to be transported to the ER. Okay? We needed zero mutual aid. Okay, so nobody else had to come in. It was either a Trinity truck, Pride Star truck. It could be our Chelmsford ambulance, Drake ambulance, but we didn't need any outside help to bring anybody to the hospital. 5,302 instances, that was the first 4 911 calls. So that would be on that contract. That's the standard that we should be held at, right? If we're at below 90, what are you doing? Why are we doing this, right?
Yep.
I'm sorry? Oh, okay. So of those 5,300, 4,858 times, it took us less than 8 minutes to get there, 8 minutes and 0 seconds, so 7:59 or less. Okay? 292 of those times, it took us more than 7:59 to get to the patient. And then there's that EMD element, which kind of messes things up a little bit, right? Because we're talking to the caller. We could be on the call with the caller for 4 minutes. So 152 times, there was that EMD kick, that EMD part. So what we did for the math, we thought, and this is where the board will have to judge is this okay, basically those ones that we EMD'd, we took out from the top and the bottom. I forget, what are the words?
5,300, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we took them out, right? So we don't think we should get judged against them, but they shouldn't count for us. So basically what we did is we took the calls that we made the response time on, the one that we missed, and divided it by the missed, and that's the 94.3%. Now, we couldn't find, we know people around the country. We tried to find someone that was doing this. We could just kind of copy what they were doing. We really didn't find anybody. We were doing this after the fact because there was some calls we just had to change a little bit how we process stuff. So it's a pretty small data set. It's only that 53. So we think, as we go forward, we'll be able to narrow it down even more.
Is it now built in your system so it's easy to report on a quarterly basis? This report, can you generate this on a quarterly basis now?
Yeah.
Without a lot of work? Okay.
No. That last part is wrong.
Okay.
It is a lot of work.
Okay.
But it's important.
Right.
Right? So it's work we'll do.
So you agree that it's important?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It is
Yeah.
a contract, right? At the end of the
Yep,
day,
100%.
you're held to, right?
Yep, 100%. And we can break it out. We can break out the, well, I don't want to get ahead, but the next couple pages, we did the same breakout with couldn't find the house, distance, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that 94.3, and then for the on-contract calls, the average response time was 4 minutes, 43 seconds. The line underneath that, now we're getting into the calls that are over the contract, so the 554 instances that we needed more than 4 ambulances in the city. So the next line down, there were 390 instances, we needed a 5th ambulance, and so on down the line. And Doc, you would ask for, okay, what's the average response time for those? And you can see for the first 4, it's 4 minutes 43. When you're talking the 5th call, it's 5 minutes 23 seconds, so it goes out 40 seconds, which makes some sense. Then you go down to 125 times, we needed 6, and then there were 39 instances we needed at least 7 ambulances. 2 of them, I think, was 8. I think that was the most we needed, was 8 ambulances. And then underneath that is kind of that, over to the right, you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Underneath that is kind of the explanation of a little bit more details for it. So that's the big one for that. If you go to page 22 and 23, that's the traditional breakout we've done before, just on the contract calls. We didn't break out the 5th, 6th, 7th because, I know everybody wants to go home at some point tonight. So that was kind of our plan, was to just mimic what we've produced before, just break it out for the first 4.
Was there any dramatic difference in reasons for the first 4 versus collectively overall that you saw? Because I didn't really see any obvious ones.
I think anecdotally in my mind it would be a higher percentage on the first floor than overall, and just because for the first 4 if we missed it, it's generally a shoot problem, which just means like the time from when the call's given out to when the ambulance moves. Some of that could be a delay at the hospital, some of it could just be if the crew's in the bathroom, that sort of thing. But I would guess that would be a higher percentage than anything else.
My point would be, there's a lot of extra work that you probably don't need to do, separating.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
Right, at the end of the day, it's probably the same, very similar reasons in terms of percentages, and you probably don't need to do this extra work.
Thank you.
But I still want the overall percentage.
Yes.
That I want for sure, but this part, I don't think you need to keep doing this.
Or do you want me to keep doing this and not do it on the old part? I could, you know what I'm saying? Because right now I'm doing it twice.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. By contract, probably you could say just do it on the contract ones. I don't know, I kind of like all the data personally, but.
Okay.
The others can weigh in too. They prefer, I think we can all agree we only need one set of this data. Question is it the contract calls or all calls? And I defer to the others what they would prefer.
What are your thoughts?
I think short term, we'll just keep doing both.
Okay.
The first four thing, again, is we're not, we just finished the beta of it, right? We want to make sure that it's 100% accurate. So we'll just keep doing both for now, and in 6 months we can have the conversation again about which parts we leave.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
And then page 24, just real quick, was just kind of more information about the calls going on in the city, kind of by neighborhood, hospital destination, the complainant dispatch, the age of the patients, and race, female, male, that sort of thing. So, you know, it's nothing you really get judged off, but it's just more information. We thought maybe somebody on the board or in the city would like to know some of that information.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so I would just assume you incorporate the quarterly statistic percentage for the contract so we can see that. I like that page as you did it personally. Going back to 21, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
I would ask that you continue to do that on a quarterly basis.
Okay, will do.
Any other questions? Okay.
All right, thank you all so much.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the monthly development services report submitted by Matthew Sheehan. Matthew's not here tonight. Are there any questions? Could you, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead. Did you?
I have one comment I'd like to make. So on Empire Hunan, they failed last spring. They subsequently passed, but then they didn't go back for a year to re-inspect them. I just want to know why it took a year to go back and re-inspect some of the
That
failed.
was my question.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'll ask about that. I
So-
wonder if that was one that was, may have been closed in the meantime, so I'll ask about that. That place may have been closed and then reopened, so I'll ask him about that.
Yeah, there's sort of a discrepancy on, if you look at the list, the,
Page 1?
yeah, the report list, it says that Empire Hunan failed October 23rd or August 22nd, depending on how you read that list. But then on this list, it says they passed August 22nd and October 10th of 23.
Oh, I see where you,
Yeah.
yep.
So
It's very confusing.
it looks like they failed a couple of times.
Yeah, I have that starred too.
Oh, yeah, right here. I see Clement failed him, and then on the other page,
Right.
there's a different date. Okay,
And
I'll
then-
reach out to Matt.
Then it looks like it says 10/10/23 passed.
10/23 failed. 10/23 failed.
Breakout, it says passed, yeah.
I
Failed
see.
in August, passed in October, and then they went back this October, failed in July, passed in October, went back in this August and failed again, but there was nothing between October and August.
Yeah, so, right.
I'll have him check the dates.
So 10 months is a long time.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 6 months, and then particularly for a restaurant that's failed.
Yeah.
I thought at the last one, maybe we can just remind, we had asked if they've failed multiple times to list out like.
They should go on a 3-month schedule versus a 6-month schedule. Yep, and I'll find out what kind of schedule that restaurant's on. Yep.
Okay.
And I did ask him because some of them have been on longer, like some of them have been checked in December and then August, and they were down inspectors. So I spoke to Lloyd today, and they are in the process of hiring 2 inspectors.
Right.
So they will be up, more inspectors.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a few others that were more than 6 months, but
Correct.
that's good to hear.
So I did check that. The other thing that we're missing on this inspection is that the schools haven't been inspected. So usually in September, we have the schools on here. So they hadn't been inspected because a few of them hadn't, like Lowell High, hadn't been opened as of like the August, when we usually get this report. So they'll be on the October list.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the Tobacco Control Monthly Report submitted by Caesar, Program Director. And so, Caesar, if you don't mind, instead of starting with the public hearings, we're going to talk about Kratom first. So we have some people that like to speak.
That's fine, yes,
Is that okay?
yes. So, could I just start talking about what you asked me to do?
Sure.
So this board asked me to come up with a draft of a proposed regulation that would address the sale of Kratom products in the city of Lowell. You should have in front of you, draft, here it is right here.
No, thank you.
And yours should be here somewhere as well.
Okay, here it is. Thank you.
So you should all have a draft of this proposed regulation. So the first section, Section A, it just provides the reasoning why we're doing, or some of the reasoning why we're doing this. On Section B, it's a definition section. I just want to call your attention for the definition of kratom. I think this one is important, so you should read that one, get acquainted with it. And then on page 2, Section C is the language that would restrict the sale of kratom products. So from 1 to 5, all of these provisions address the sale of kratom products. We are restricting these products to adult-only retail tobacco stores as defined in the tobacco sales regulation. The reason behind that is because they are an adult-only retail tobacco store. They actually block people from entering if they are under the age of 21. So this regulation would restrict the sale to those stores only. There's only a few of those stores in the city. It'll be much easier to sort of keep an eye on this product and, do checks and inspections, make sure that they're doing the right thing. So all of these items from 1 to 5, they basically address how we're going to actually, what is it that we are restricting? So we are not looking at banning the sale of these products, at least not in this proposed regulations. We are looking at restricting how it's sold. And it can only be sold at those establishments. They have to maintain those tobacco and permits from the city and state licenses from DOR at all times in order to continue to have the ability to sell these kratom products. Anytime they don't have valid permits or valid licenses from the state, or anytime those permits or licenses are suspended, they also lose the ability to sell kratom products. Only people that actually has read the regulation and signed a statement saying they read the regulation, will abide by them, can actually sell kratom products at these locations. So what else? This regulation addresses the sale of kratom products, but also the presence of kratom products. So if an establishment has kratom products in them, but they're not an adult-only retail tobacco store, just by having those products is a violation. So in order for this regulation to work, there's going to be a period of education with putting announcements in the paper, sending letters to businesses, because virtually any kind of business could start selling this products because it's not currently regulated. But like we've done in the past with tobacco, the goal here is not to give out fines left and right. It's basically to make sure that if you encounter these products, let's say in a clothing store, we just educate those people, make sure that they remove those products immediately, and they wouldn't be fined, at least not the first time. But if there's reoccurrence, then, they're subject to the fines. As you can see in Section D, the fines are very similar to the fines we have for tobacco products right now. If they have the product or if they sell the product, it's $1,000 for a first offense, $2,000 for a second offense within 36 months of that first offense, plus a 7 consecutive business day suspension of any permit that establishment may have, including tobacco permit. In the case of 3 or more violations within a 36-month period, they will get a fine of $5,000, and they'll lose their permit for 30 consecutive business days. The permit will be up to the board to choose, which permit to suspend, because virtually any type of business might end up having these products in stock. So that could be stores out there that don't have permits from the Board of Health. That's one of the limitations from this language, because it only addresses establishments regulated by the Board of Health. If you haven't issued a permit to a location, then there isn't anything that you can suspend, but you can, we can issue a fine between $1,000 and $5,000.
Caesar, you're proposing a separate permit to sell this, or would it be incorporated in the tobacco permit?
At this time, I'm not proposing a permitting process. We're just restricting where these products can be sold.
Okay.
If we see that, this, the interest in having an adult-only retail tobacco store because they could also sell kratom, then we should look at permitting them for that reason.
So can we back up a little, because last month or 2 months ago, we talked about the plan would be for you to explore what the state currently is doing around this and what the future might look like in terms of state regulations and, banning or not banning and whatnot. So I'm just curious what your research showed on that.
I try to find out what the state is doing about this, and what I found is that the state is not doing anything right now. Everybody's concerned about the product, but there's no specific actions that the state is taking. As a matter of fact, there aren't many municipalities out there, to my knowledge, that are actually doing anything as far as regulations or regulating this product, the sale of this product.
Just filter down, right? Just one, right?
Just the one, I know of one municipality, a town, Belchertown, right. That's the one that I use as to inspire me to actually draft this one here. This regulation is based on that one. However, that regulation is more encompassing because it includes the sale of Delta 8, Delta 9 products. This one is just restricting the sale of kratom products.
Okay.
Who controls, like, what percentage or what level of the active ingredients they have in it? Because when I was reading over this information that was provided, it said that when kratom is sort of reduced down and sold in different forms, it can be much more potent and much more dangerous. So I was wondering, how does that get controlled?
That might be true. I just don't know anything about that. There isn't any regulation.
Percentage of the active ingredients.
Right. So I think these products are being sold without any oversight whatsoever. And that's why this board is looking at coming up with a regulation that would restrict the sale. There isn't anything that's being done right now. There's general concern, but there isn't anything like, the FDA say, you should have so much of this metraginin or 7-hydroxymetraginin in the product.
Right, from what I read, that, sometimes it's pure kratom extract product, sometimes it's enriched with more alkaloids, and so there's different strengths, but there's no regulation of it in any way, shape, or form that I could find. The FDA hasn't gotten involved, the DEA folks, there's different information on, supposedly 1.7 million people are using it in the U.S., and people are using it as a self-treatment for pain, anxiety, etc. But it's marketed as a herbal supplement, but it specifically has an opioid effect.
Right. From what I heard, what I read actually, in low quantities, it works as a stimulant, but at higher dosages, it behaves as an opioid.
Right.
We couldn't have, at least not at this time, language in this regulation that would restrict the amounts of metraginin or any other active substance in this product because, there's no way for us to verify that. There's no body that oversees them to say, hey, if there's a label there that's approved by the FDA, we can just say, hey, the FDA, has approved this product for this potency, but there isn't anything out there right now.
There's no, it doesn't seem like anyone knows what a safe level is,
Right.
or there's no labeling of how much.
There
Exactly.
hasn't been any documented unsafe level yet.
Yeah, I guess.
So, the way you phrase it
Yeah.
is no safe level is a little different than,
Yeah.
we haven't found a maximum.
We don't know
above
what the
which is a problem.
standard,
Right.
yeah. But there's no label, so when you buy this product, it doesn't say how much hydroxymetagerin?
I think it's metraginin. Metraginin.
Is in that particular packaging, whether it's capsules or,
And you could say anything that we have no way of verifying what it says.
Yeah, it did say they were going to do a dosing study, I thought, in this information that was provided to us, but it didn't come through. But it did note that kratom in higher, with those specific chemicals in higher concentrations, much more dangerous, especially if in combination with other opioids. It's just a little-
Your point to all is that it's just a yes and no. There's no grading of anything. It's controlled or it's not, and it's, all of them are controlled or none of them are, because there is no way to grade.
At this time, yes.
I mean, the FDA reported that there's salmonella tainted kratom. I mean, it's just a whole variety of issues.
I don't know that I feel
Yeah.
comfortable regulating the sale of that at all.
Well, and it's not just regulation, though. What about enforcement? Like, are you're offering to be the enforcement person?
I mean, I could be involved, and we can talk about the details about that later, but I think that, I think one of the reasons why I got involved is because I'm in the stores, and I get to see these products perhaps more often than any other person in the city would. That's the only
And
reason.
we're glad you're involved. But
But the language it has right now is, you could assign any person as your agent to enforce this regulation, so it's not attached to the Director of Tobacco Control or my person
No,
directly.
but if we're going to adopt some of your recommendations and it's going to be restricted to the stores, it's going to fall on the tobacco team.
I mean, it's reasonable that, it would fall in my purview, yes.
So the issue tonight in terms of, and I think we have some folks that want to weigh in, but we're just getting the regulation, the draft regulation tonight. I haven't read it yet because it was just handed to us. So, I mean, I think we would defer, a public hearing and vote until at least next month when we can all read this proposed
Right,
regulation.
I think you should take the time to read the regulation. At the next meeting, if you have any recommendations for changes, or if you have concerns about any of the provisions in this regulation, then we can just discuss it. Once you're satisfied that you have a regulation that you're prepared to vote on, then I would submit this to the city solicitor for review. Once that review is being completed and there's no issues with the proposed regulations, then you can just have your public hearing.
Does the board have any questions about the regulation?
So you're telling, you called the state and they're not doing anything for this product whatsoever?
Everybody is concerned, everybody's paying attention. It takes a while because, the state is a larger bureaucracy than local government. So it takes a little longer for these things to actually pick up speed. But there's general concern. But when I asked my contract manager, she wasn't aware of anybody at the state level doing anything specific as far as legislating this product.
We need to take this and think about it, but I would like to hear from people who,
So is there anyone that would like to speak? Paulette? Yeah, if you want to take, is that
You
one
just
working?
come and have a
Or-
seat.
Well, she needs a mic.
During the ambulance reports, I was saying, I felt like I never left them.
Is that on? Yeah.
It looks like
It's on, okay, yep.
My name is Paulette Renault Karajanis. I live at 84 Beach Street in Lowell. I've sat on your side of the table as a Board of Health member. I've sat on the end of the table as Lisa in another community. I've worked with Caesar in the tobacco control movement, and I worked for the city of Lowell in the 90s when the tobacco control movement first started. And the Board of Health at that time took some pretty courageous actions ahead of a number of communities to regulate the sale of tobacco in a way that really made a big difference. There are a number of substances that have come up over the years that have some similarities to this, salvia and things like that, which are characterized as herbal supplements. And whether they have any pharmacological value or not, no one studied them. There seems to be, kind of evidence here and there and everywhere, but they're not regulated, they're not standardized. Certainly, banning the sale altogether would be in the best interest of everyone, because as Caesar knows better than anyone sitting at this table, when people walk in the store and see those things, as much as there are adults who use this now, it's bright packaging, it's meant to entice young people. So at the very least, it needs to be age controlled and certainly age regulated. But looking at banning this and taking the step to protect people in the community is huge. if going the route of adult only, so that there aren't kids who are seeing this and adults who are using this and, for whatever reason, even though it's not standardized, is certainly an option to consider. But this is dangerous. There's no two ways about it. The fact that the information's all over the map, and no one is going to take action until local people take action. You are sitting in the seat that can help protect the public health, and you have the unique authority and opportunity to do that. As wonderful as it was that the council came forward after hearing the story of loss and endorsed taking some action, you all have a really great opportunity to take this on, and I look forward to the public hearing to say more, and I'm so appreciative of what you're doing, and I know it's not easy when you're hearing a lot of different information, but the fact that you just talked about that there's no standard information out there, there's no standard formula, to have someone have to be a chemist and decide whether this or that is allowable to be sold doesn't make sense. So at the very least, make it an age-controlled substance only available in those tobacco stores where kids can't even go in, so that if adults choose to use it, adults choose to use it. But better than that would be to ban it. And I thank you for your time tonight and your work.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Sir? If you could just come to the microphone and state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Mike Overstreet. I'm from Worcester, and decided to come to talk about Kratom. I'm a Kratom advocate and consumer. It is really nice to hear about the 21 plus. I think regulation is a lot better than a ban. There are active Massachusetts bills right now. There's 2 House bills and 1 Senate bill, and they're all for a standardizing 21 plus, proper labeling, proper warning, proper manufacturing. So that is active right now. I believe when they come back in session, that it should be, I think both House bills are 25.
I'm sorry, would you mind, I'm just speaking up a little louder. So the microphone is for the taping for the local television, but it doesn't amplify your voice to us at all.
Okay.
Mr. Overstreet, I'm sorry, I need your address for the record.
Oh, 64 Chino Ave.
I'm sorry, 64?
Chino, C-H-I-N-O.
Thank you.
So years ago, I was severely addicted to opiates and then stuck on Suboxone for over 8 years. And Suboxone really helped me at first, and then started to really take away, really negatively affect my overall mood and happiness. I suffered great dental damage on Suboxone. The FDA quietly released that Suboxone causes serious dental damage, including people with no history of dental problems. So that's really the solution right now that's being pushed right now is Suboxone. And Kratom is a natural alternative. It grows naturally in Southeast Asia. That's where Indonesia is where most of it comes from. It does react on the opioid receptors, but very differently as a biased partial agonist, opposed to something that's opiate-derived, morphine-derived, which is a full agonist, non-biased full agonist. So I also run the Kratom Guy Show podcast, where we're joined with influential doctors and advocates around the nation. I've had numerous doctors on the show, and behavioral and addiction psychologists, and they all agree on one thing, that Kratom shouldn't be banned. I don't think bans ever work, and there's serious ramifications to banning substances. Like we saw, and if you have the time, please look up Newsweek Marshall Price. It's a case in Arkansas where Kratom is banned. He was using it to stay clean off of meth and heroin. He'd been doing so for 5 years. So he ended up getting pulled over in Arkansas, sent to 10 years in prison, and ended up getting killed in prison 3 weeks into his sentence, all for a bag of Roundup leaves. So, banning it is definitely not the way to go. The original 44 deaths that the FDA cites, there's duplicate reports, there's a murder by gunshot wound to the chest, suicide by hanging. Suicide determined the primary cause of death was an apparent suicide from intentional abuse of acetaminophen, 9 deaths in Sweden from tramadol synthetic. Another guy fell out of a window, broke an arm and leg, refused medical treatment on drugs and alcohol, also a kratom-related death. So this goes on and on. So I'm not saying that it can't happen. People die from drinking too much water, Panera has multiple lawsuits right now going on for excessive caffeine in their spiked lemonade. But the death that was presented here at the city council meeting, is the medical examiner's report and tox screen, autopsy report, is that all on public file? Because what we're seeing is the majority of deaths are adverse reactions with other drugs and alcohol. So it's important to find this out. One of them is an antidepressant and it's an antihistamine. We've seen that multiple times. So I think just to ban a substance is a really knee-jerk reaction. There's lots of science being done right now, and NIDA has multi-million-dollar grants out right now through the University of Florida. So I would do 21 plus and the proper labeling, proper warning, and there are testing facilities, so you could do, if you don't want to test all the products, that there are testing facilities that are fairly affordable, so you can test the products as far as contaminants and mitigene strength.
Could I just ask a question?
Yeah.
So when you say proper warning on the packaging, we would have no control over that if we didn't ban it. If we just tried to regulate it for sale in a 21 or older store, we wouldn't have, as a city, would not be able to do any warning on the packages. So I'm not sure how you would propose that would happen.
So there is a good manufacturing list that the American Kratom Association has, which all of their vendors that have been certified through the FDA process of good manufacturing, as far as their facilities, have the seal of the good manufacturing. So there is the list that are vendors that are right now self-regulating the industry to make sure that the mitigene and 7-hydroxymitigene are at that appropriate level. And I think that's where it starts getting kind of muddy, is where.
But my understanding is the FDA has listed it as a drug or chemical of concern. I'm not aware that they would have any involvement in the packaging.
So it's a GMP process. So it's a GMP comparable. So I'm friends with a vendor in New Jersey who does GMP. He uses a co-packer that is a GMP facility certified by the FDA.
So are you saying that these companies that your society has looked at, they on their own put labels, warning labels on them?
Correct.
Okay.
But, I mean, we would have no idea of knowing where the stores are buying from, right? I mean, yes, those facilities are doing their due diligence, but we would have no way of controlling where our stores are getting their kratom supply from, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the good vendors are testing when it leaves Indonesia, and then they're batch testing all their products before.
Well, yeah, we would have no way of ensuring that we have good vendors or that would happen in Lowell.
Do you think you could require that the only products being sold are lab tested?
I don't know how we could do that.
The vendors are voluntarily putting the labs up on their website.
I would ask
Good
her.
ones are, at least.
I would ask
They're presenting
Caesar
the labs to the public.
to look into that one.
So I did see a Mayo Clinic study that tested kratom as treatment for withdrawals, and in folks that they studied after 6 months, that were on kratom for 6 months, after stopping kratom, they had withdrawal symptoms similar to the opioids that they were on.
So I was on kratom for about 8 years. Really helped me, and it really enabled me to get back into shape and really start eating correct. I was able just to wean off. It was like a 2-week wean. I find it more similar to a coffee withdrawal, caffeine withdrawal, doing like lots of excessive amounts of caffeine. But there is withdrawal symptoms, just like anything, the tobacco and alcohol that's being sold in the stores.
Okay. Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
happy to answer more questions.
Okay. Does the board have any questions? Okay, thank you for your time. Did you wish to speak?
Yeah, just briefly.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just need your name and
Sorry.
address when you get
Sorry.
to
My name is Nelson. I'm representing Two Brother Smoke Shop here in Lowell.
What's your last name? I'm sorry.
Nelson Ferrer, Ferrur.
And your address?
150 Wood Street. And also 9 West Meadow Road, and also 166 William Street, 166 William. Well, I'm here representing the stores. I mean, we have been selling Kratom for years now, and I guess I got a lot of answers, questions, answers that I had that I was proposing that they would make the Kratom to be sold in adult stores. Like where all our stores are adult stores, where you have to be over 21 to get, to park in. So I got that answer when Caesar was speaking. But also I've been selling Kratom for many years now. And what I've been noticing, it's been helping a lot of people, I don't use it, but I've seen a lot of people, like, they have overcome a lot of, they started going back to work because they used to be on opiates. So now these people are using it as an alternative because it helps them, to work out and more energetic, and it helps them with sleeps. They don't want to use any, because you go to the hospital nowadays and they give you Vicodins, Percocets, and all that stuff, and they don't want to use that. So they go and use Kratom, which it helps them sleep, it gives them energy, and it also helps them with opiate withdrawals. So I've seen, a lot of people grow, and I've seen a lot of people just, I've sold a lot of Kratom, and I've seen the help that it does to other people. It's like banning Kratom, and I think will be the wrong decision. I mean, if you leave it in the adult stores, I'm okay with it because everything is, since we started doing business in the smoke shop, is ban. I've been going through bans since, 2019, and it's like, that's money that's going down. So I just, what I'm trying to say is that it helps a lot of people, and all the Kratom that we buy, you can scan the label and it tells you the lab tests, like the gentleman was saying here, and I think, if you're gonna ban it, I would not be.
I'm sorry, what lab is testing it?
No, I'm saying that when you buy, like Kratom capsules, for example, on the back, you can scan the barcode and it'll tell you what it is, on what it has in it, how much, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like a lot of the capsules or the bags have that, that you can see what it entails, what kind of, if it's for back pain, or if it's for energy, or if it's for sleeping. If you have a sleeping disorder, it tells you what it's for. Because there's a different kind of Kratom. There's a, red valley, white border. So it tells you what it is for. So I guess what I'm trying to say, is that, I would prefer not to have it banned for the reason that it helps a lot of people.
Thank you for your time. Sir, any?
Hello. My name is Holly Truville, and I spoke last week at the City Council in regards to the agenda on Kratom and how it has affected my life. So as an educator, and more so obviously as a mother, if you did hear it, I do hope it makes you realize that having lost even one life to Kratom is too many. I lost my son in February, my 25-year-old son, not under 21, my 25-year-old son, to solely mitraguanine toxicity Kratom. He didn't have any other underlying health issue. His medical exam and cause of death is mitraguanine toxicity, and the manner of death was just an accident. That's what's written here on his medical examination. It is marketed and sold as an energy and a supplement booster and a pain reliever, but there's no regulations to show anything. He drank literally a seltzer drink that said Kratom seltzer on it. The only thing on the back said recommended one a day. It doesn't have anything about could cause death. It doesn't have anything about anything else. It's not a controlled substance. I mean, if you read it, the DEA did put it on the controlled list in 2016, and it was removed 4 months later from petitions, and Congress removed it. But the DEA back in 2016 knew how dangerous it was as well. And I feel that if there's not regulations, to not ban it would be a sin. There is and if anybody's concerned or says it's good for you or whatnot, I am part of a Kratom Danger Awareness Group. I would be happy to invite any member, and you can see how many, it's countrywide, how many towns, counties, cities are trying to ban it. So you can buy it online. I ordered it online. All you have to click is, yep, I'm 18. I could have been 9. Clicked it, I got it delivered to my home. That's how easy it is. And if it's something not that safe, it shouldn't be that easy. And we may not be able to control what we can order online, but we can control what we can do in our city. We can control what we can do here. Because until it has regulations on it, you don't know. That is correct, because there is metriguanine in it, or there's 7 metriguanine, there's 2 different things, and you don't know. They come from different leaves. They come from leaf in the Philippines. You can come from leaves in Thailand. And those leaves could have different amount of toxic amount of the metriguanine, but you wouldn't know. Taking a pill, taking the kratom seltzer, taking the powder form. There's so many different forms. So I just here stand to you as a mother, because I have to visit my son at St. Joseph's Cemetery and talk to his gravestone, knowing that he's buried under a bunch of dirt in a box. And if you all close your eyes for a minute, I want you all to picture having to do that every day for the rest of your lives. And then say to me that you can't or shouldn't ban this, especially with the lack of education and the lack of regulation. And just as an addendum, I have been in contacts with the FDA. I have sent them what they died for. We email all the time because they have concerns about it. They wouldn't be contacting me. They reached out to me. So if they didn't have concerns, they wouldn't be reaching out to people who have lost their children from that. So in closing, I really just, I implore you, as an educator, as a mom, I lost my only child due to something that could have been prevented. And I just implore you that you really think about it before you say over 21. Yes, they're adults. Well, he was 25 years old, and it still happened to him. So that is just what I implore for you.
Ms. Trudeau, I'm sorry, can you just spell your last name?
Yep, T as in Tom, R-O-U, V as in Victor, I-L-L-E.
And I just need the address.
Yep, 230 Boulevard.
Sorry for your loss.
Sorry for your
Thank you
loss.
very much.
Thank you.
Chairperson Keegan and the rest of the board. We thank you for your time. I had spoken to Mayor Rourke before I came here tonight and asked if I could represent the council. My name is Eric Gitcher. I live at 34 Livingston Ave in the city of Lowell, and I am a Lowell City Councilor. And the 2 people that spoke in favor, there's profit here. It's not people, it's profit. If they didn't have a store, you think you'd be up here saying this? If you weren't making money, do you think you'd be up here saying this? Lowell has always been a leader in making decisions. I don't think that goes far enough. The city council voted for it to be banned within the limits of the city of Lowell for a reason. We looked at it just like all of you. You all are experts at this. We all know. Every day I get up, and I'm one of the luckiest people alive that I get to go work in a school system where there's 2,320 kids in it. Every day the vape detector goes off. They're in every bathroom, and they know they're there. They're addicted at this point. It's our job to try to alleviate. Can they still get it? Absolutely. You can get anything you want in this world if you got enough money and you can get the resources. No question, but we all know that. But it doesn't mean it isn't our obligation to try to prevent it. And deaths, whether you want a person with grievance, child's death certificate or not, to try to prove, whatever you're going to try to prove, I think is insensitive to even say something like that. To come from Worcester to the city of Lowell as a person's grieving and say, hey, can you make that public? I'm not debating one word that Ms. Trudeau said. I don't think any of you are. But, and Nelson, I've known for a long, long time. We're just on the different sides of this issue at this point. But if it's your child, I'd be up there speaking for your child. I watched videos. 53-year-old man goes into a gym, someone introduced him to a drink that would give him a little bit more pep in his step, and boom, he's dead. Lisa, we've spoken about this multiple times, and I just don't think it goes far enough. I think we should push for the ban. 9-0 out of the city council, 2 were absent just because they weren't at the meeting, but I'm sure at that point, I don't want to speak for anybody, that it would have been even more. I think the city council has the best interests of the residents of the city, and I think you do. I've watched these meetings, and I thank you for all of your service. But at the end, my email is completely filled because of this whole issue. Somebody put a flyer out where you can just scan something on, and it's a generic email sent to you because of this issue. And we sit up here, we play on our phones, and we don't even really, it's whatever. I called 3 people that did that. And I said, do you know? He said, yeah, you're trying to ban tobacco in the state. I said, no, it's Kratom. The kid goes, what? I'm with you on this. So this push from behind and all of these things that are going on in this whole episode here, and he's right, there are 2 bills that are in front of you. I spoke to Senator Kennedy. Senator Kennedy is going to try to push a ban throughout the state. Massachusetts has always been a leader in health, whether it's health care, whether it's anything, and I know Chairperson Keegan is a leader in this. We went through COVID together. We understood, okay, we have to do these things. Did we want to do them? How many people stood up here and said, no masks, and you had to enforce? That was your job. It's the same thing here. We need to go further. We need to ban. And if somebody's getting a great benefit out of it, that's not your job. It's not my job. It's not some industry's job. It's called go to the doctor. If the doctor thinks this is a miracle drug that we're trying to be sold, wouldn't they know about it first and start prescribing it? Wouldn't it go to the FDA and they'd say, okay, here we are. A miracle drug, right? Because one benefit, we talked about one person who did something, and that's how we regulate, but you're taking people's lives, and you're really causing things. And I just thank you for your time and for everything you do, because it's not an easy position. But I think Lowell, Massachusetts should be the first one in Massachusetts to ban it within their limits and send a message. We are always the ones who follow everybody else. What is Cambridge doing? We'll do what Cambridge is doing. Well, now it's time for Cambridge to do what we're doing. And that's what people are afraid of in this state. So please, be the first, be the leaders, be the ones who write history in Massachusetts and say, we're not dealing with it. Thank you again.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to speak on the issue? Okay. Thank you. Does the board have any questions for Caesar around Kratom?
Can we look into what Bleachertown is doing? Is theirs is already banned? Can we see what their legislature looks like and how we could adapt it here?
I'm sorry, which town?
Belchertown, sorry.
Belchertown. Sure, I mean, I should remember this, I just don't. I just use that as a basis. I'm not sure right now whether they just restricted the sale or whether they ban it. I don't think they ban it, but I can certainly verify it.
So we'll put it on the agenda for next month so the board can read the regulation, and then we'll have another discussion with regard to regulation or banning.
Sure.
I don't, we can't vote on it this evening without having read the regulation. Does anyone have any suggestions or comments?
Right, and I would recommend having a public hearing at some point on this issue. So, yeah, I think you should read the regulation first, have a further discussion next meeting, decide whether you want to ban or just restrict, and then we go from there.
Right, so discussion next month, and then a public hearing either on banning or regulating. Okay.
Will do.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda, the following establishments will be subjected to tobacco permit suspension hearings stemming from failed compliance checks conducted in the month of May.
First establishment on the list is Highland Variety. This is a pack of Marlboro cigarettes that was purchased on May 17 for $13. The photograph of the kid in front of you is the minor that actually went in. He's under 21. He was 19 at the time of the sale. He was able to purchase the tobacco without any challenge. As a matter of fact, he was asked, but let me just correct what I said. He was asked for ID, but despite the fact that he said he did not have an ID, still he was sold this pack of cigarette. This is a second offense. He's up for a 7 consecutive business day tobacco permit suspension. It is my recommendation to be suspended beginning on September 23rd, Monday.
And is there anyone here who wishes to speak on that?
Yes.
I'm sorry, so just, it was 123 was the part one, thank you, sir.
The Bible St. Arms at 433 Central Street. I'm the clerk at the store.
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't see your first name.
Lyonel. I did something else. It was kind of another sale. Thought he was somebody else. My fault. But the lack of, she just told me, see the ID. Doing this. You come here, yeah, you thought he was the other person. I saw them like cigarettes.
Okay, thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your honesty.
So this is 7 violations in the last 9 years? Or last 5 years, excuse me?
Is that what I just wrote?
You just said, it says 1/12/23 sale, and then 5 other violations since 2019.
Yes.
So this would be number 7.
This would be number 7, yes, but this is the second time they sold tobacco to a minor.
Got it. Oh, so the other violations were not selling to minors. Got it,
Yeah.
thank you.
And the last time they sold to a minor was last year, 1/12/23.
Correct.
Okay, and are you the owner? Or-
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That was my daughter.
Oh, okay. Hard to fire your daughter.
She knows better than I. No ID, no service.
Okay, so you understand that we really don't have any leeway in terms of this? Okay, do we have a?
Sure, I'll make a
vote?
motion for you. The 7-day, start, whatever Caesar said, 7 days starting whenever he said.
Start business on
September 23rd.
23rd to the close of business. Was it
Correct.
September 30th?
Well, let's, because we don't know where they open. I mean, some of these establishments may be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So let's just start 7 consecutive business days beginning on September 23rd.
Okay, do we have a vote?
I just need a second on the motion. Sorry.
And you understand, sir, the next one's
Yes.
very painful, right?
Well, I put up signs now too.
Please, please.
Bill?
No IDs, no
Yes.
tobacco product.
Joanne?
Yes.
Erin?
Yes.
Allison? Yes. Kathleen? All in favor?
Aye.
You received a certified letter explaining how that suspension is going to happen, and this is the second time for you, so you know that you have to remove all tobacco products from the premises.
Yes.
So next is F&Y Grocery, located at 499 Broadway in Lowell. This is a pack of Marlboro cigarette that was purchased there on May 17th at 10:47 a.m. for $16.
For how much?
16. And the person, the minor that was sent in was not challenged at all. He was not asked for ID or anything else. So it's the first offense in the last 36 months. My recommendation is that they be suspended for 3 consecutive business days beginning on Monday, September 23rd.
Do we have a motion, or is there anyone that wishes to speak?
Yes. Mr. F&Y Fernando, you want to address the board?
Hi, good night. Good afternoon, everybody. I know speak a little English, I want to try it. My name is Fernando. I apologize for I sell the tobacco to the minnow. That's my first time I do it. I remember this day. That's a Friday. I don't have this good day, you know. I wake up very, very bad. I go to my store, and I got a little problem to the employer, the wife, everything. And I remember she sent the guy, the key. I no ask for ID, no ask for nothing, and I sell it. And I'm through and apologize for everything. And you don't see me again here.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
It was excellent English.
Thank you.
Fernando Rio.
Rio, R-I-O? And then an address?
499 Lowell. Yeah. I'm tired, you know.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Do we have a motion for the suspension?
Aaron's turn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Kathleen? Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have 7-Eleven. Does anybody here representing 7-Eleven? I don't think so. So they have confirmation from the U.S. Postal Service saying that they received the notification that this unit was going to take place today. So my recommendation is, this is a second offense as well. My recommendation is a 7 consecutive business day suspension beginning September 23rd.
We have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
When was the last time?
Bill?
22.
First offense.
Aye.
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 Was on May 14.
Thank you.
Allison?
Yes.
Okay. Varnum Market?
Next is Run Market. There's somebody here representing the store tonight. They sold this pack of Marlboro cigarette for $14.75 on May 13 at 11:35 a.m. There was no challenge to the kid that was sent in. He just said he could purchase the product without any challenge. So my recommendation is the same, a 3-day suspension.
Caesar, can I ask you a question? This is the third one that's had 5 other violations. What are the other violations? What kind of violations are the
This could
stores?
be a signage violation, this could be like anything else, not having all the letters, things like that.
Got it, got it. All tobacco
For which-
related, but just
right,
not selling
but
them.
for which they were not.
Got it,
For
okay.
which They were not fined.
Got it.
Sir, did you have something to say?
Thomas Papadopoulos, Varnum Market in Lowell. Very sorry to sell to a minor pack of Marlboros without requesting ID. Very sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Aye.
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 18 years, that's pretty good. It's a long run.
Next is Village Variety. I got somebody here representing Mr. Pravin Patel. This was a pack of cigarette that was purchased there on May 13th at 11:12 in the morning for $13.79. And there's been no prior sales, but this establishment has been in business since 2021. And the minor was on ask for ID, not ask for the page.
Good night, everyone, and namaste. My name is Pravin Patel from Village Variety Store, 1301 Pataket Boulevard. And that bad day, my employee made the mistake, and I apologize for that one. And my employee forgot to check the ID, and they give the secret backup. But now we are make sure we retrain all my employees. We give the proper training for check the ID, and we are activate the software in the POS for every customer asking the tobacco or anything beer product. We are scan the ID, and then then we sell the product. So we make sure the system is now working and good in place. and we try our best to be a responsible citizen of the society. So I know we have not sell the tobacco under the 21. So we now aware of that one, and next time we not make any mistake again. So please give me forgiveness for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a
Yeah, I'll
motion?
make that motion.
For 3-day suspension?
Yes.
Second. Roll call?
Yes.
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 Okay, Drum Hill?
Masters Drum Hill Golf located at 1299 Westwood Street. This is, let me see, this is a pack of Marlboro cigarettes that was purchased on May 13th at 10:38 a.m. for $14.32. And there was no challenge to the minor that went in. We just asked for the product and was given the product. So my recommendation is the same. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Nathan Dora, 736 Princeton Boulevard, Lowell, Mass. My employee was the first week there, it's on an excuse, but she's been retrained. We've updated our POS where you have to scan where you can't sell it to anybody for any tobacco products. And that's our first time. Ask for leniency.
Actually, it's not the first time. This establishment sold before to minors on June 22, 2010, on October 30th of 2007. And there's been a list of violations over the years, but they've been in business for a long time. It's been 18 years. All these other violations they did not receive fines for, but they received fines for the sales to minors that occurred in the past.
It is still still first time in new legislation, 3 days.
It is the first time because it is the first time under the new regulation. It's within the last 36 months as well.
Yep. Okay.
Do we have a motion to suspension for 3 days?
Yep. Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I believe the next one is Frank and Ernest. This is the pack of Marlboro cigarettes that was purchased there on May 13th at 9:50 a.m. for $13.97. This is first violation.
13?
What's that?
I didn't realize there's such a wide variety of prices.
There is.
Yeah.
There is, yes.
You're learning about the competition while you're here, huh?
Yeah. Now you know the price is 14.
People pay for it. People never pay for smoke.
No.
People never.
Right. So there's been no prior violations, but this establishment has been in business since August last year. So it's been pretty much just over a year that they've been in business.
Wow.
Tina
Frank and Ernie's been there forever.
Kekio, is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, she's here to address the board. Same recommendation, 3-day suspension.
Hi.
I'm going to only hear some seasonals and.
But you still have to speak in the microphone,
Yeah,
yes.
give it, Trish, you can have the.
Oh, she got this. Yeah.
Just hold it.
Micro. Okay, is it green? Oh, good. My name is Tina Kakeo, and it's 810 Central Street, Lowell, Mass. So I recently purchased the business. I never owned a convenience store before. That's no excuse for what happened, though. That's, I'm just here to apologize. I apologize. Again, it still that's not a justification. I have 8 employees, and one of them that day was an older woman who, I was actually at the copy machine, and she was down the end, and I don't know what happened. She just got nervous or something. I don't know. She felt overwhelmed, and somebody came in, and she thought she knew the kid. It doesn't matter. And she still sold him the cigarettes. And I was just like, are you kidding me? We've went over this over and over and over. You've signed forms, like I have initials. So it happened. But the thing is, where I am here to plead is that, and I think Caesar knows too, because I left him a message, because I'm new, and everybody was like, we have to take the cigarettes down for 3 days. I did. And I was like, I lost all kinds of money for 3 days. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I called Caesar, and he's like, no, not yet. I was like, I just lost thousands of dollars. What do you mean not yet? So I'm here again. So if I have to do it again, it is what it is. That's the law. That's where we stand. But I was going to plead maybe not, because I already did it. I already lost thousands of dollars because I was afraid, and I want to be compliant, and I'm new. And I said, listen, take all the cigarettes down. We hit them in the back. Nobody could buy cigarettes for 3 days. I told Caesar, and he was just like, well, you got to go in front of the board. So I am here to see, I already put them away for 3 days. Please don't have me do it again. So I'm pleading. Thank you.
Caesar?
Yes, I did not go to the store to verify they had been suspended. So, she reported that after the fact anyway. So I felt sorry for her because if she went through the process of actually removing everything, I mean, it's a shame. However, the letter was very clear. So, there will be a time for a Board of Health hearing, at which time this decision will be made. And you didn't read it closely enough.
We would love to give you the benefit of the doubt. The problem is, everybody would come in here and say they've already done it.
Oh, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
So now that you've said that, that will be everyone's tact from now on.
Did we take I may have taken pictures that day. No, I'm serious. I think I might have taken, can I send it? It might show the dates, maybe?
Still, there's no request verified that you went without the products for about 3 days. Sorry about that.
Thank you for trying. Sorry. Do we have a motion to suspend for 3 days?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Aye.
Yes. Sorry.
Actually, I know this is out of order, but I have a question just to go back to the, like, if we were
Absolutely.
going to have a public hearing. So the draft is for just to regulate for 21-plus stores.
Yes.
Would it be possible to draft for both and do a dual public hearing if we were going to choose to ban or regulate?
When you publish, there's going to be a public hearing, you have to say to the public what you are willing to do.
You can make any changes you want during the meeting, so if you decide during the meeting you want to ban it, you can change it at that public hearing to ban.
Right.
Your question
Well,
is,
no,
do
I
we
think
have
the
to have
question-
that proposal in writing as a to ban?
And
It has
I
to be
can
in
have that proposal ready for signature if that's the route you want to go. But we have to advertise saying, hey, there's going to be a public hearing on this issue. There's a proposal before the board to restrict it, unless at the next meeting you have a discussion, decide, no, we're just going to win a regulation that proposes banning the sale of this product.
So I
should
think
make our own decision internally
yeah,
first.
I
Yeah,
think
you
we
can.
should
You should,
decide
yeah.
next month whether we're proposing to regulate it or we're proposing to ban it,
Yes.
right?
Right.
And then we advertise it as a public hearing to ban or to regulate, not advertise it as a public hearing.
It's not a vote. It's not come in and vote. This is what we're proposing.
You're going to deliberate on this. You're going to think
Right.
about it, you're going to read it, and you're going to discuss it. You can change it, you can have me draft a different one that bans the
So
sale.
do we need a draft ban regulation?
Well, the public hearing, we're not proposing the public hearing next meeting.
No.
The discussion for the board will be next meeting. The
Right.
public hearing would probably be the following meeting, right?
Right, but
But what you're asking is, so you have a draft motion right now for regulating, but you're questioning if there should be for the next meeting also a draft ban, in case the board wants a ban, so that the following meeting could be a public hearing for one or the other?
Yes, I can bring a draft
Okay.
that would propose to ban the sale of this product for next meeting, and then you decide which way you want to go.
okay.
Okay.
Right, is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Way
you.
to just mess up the whole mojo going on here, Carrie.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good. Thank you, Caesar.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Caesar.
He'll tell you.
The plan is September 23rd, I believe. Caesar, he's asking about the date.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. The next, thank you. The next item on the agenda is just a communication from our Central Mosquito Control Project, letting us know the dates for spraying.
So,
and-
excuse me, Madam Chair, there was a change this week because the temperatures at night are dropping down to the 40s. They don't spray if it's 50 and below, so they have canceled all of the spraying for September. So they've stopped spraying for moving forward.
Great, okay. Thank you. And the next item under old business is for review the analytical report on the Pawtucket Memorial School. We have a couple communications
I thought
In
that's
the-
why everybody was here. I thought it was.
In the packet, we have the communication from Connor Baldwin. We have the analytic report from 8/24. We have the communication PDF regarding another communication around the Pawtucket Memorial School from the staff. And then handed out tonight, we have a letter from, a copy of our letter that we sent to the school department in January regarding recommendations for changes. And we have indoor air quality in schools, a primer for teachers. And we have two more reports, the latest being done on the two final classrooms that had level issues, classroom 1071 and classroom 1073, which on the latest testing has come back considerably lower than outdoor air, and I won't say within normal limits because there's no standard, but
Madam Chair, can I ask the director a question?
Sure.
We sent a letter to Superintendent Skinner. Do we know that that letter and those recommendations made it to the staff of the school?
So when we mailed the letter on January 22nd, the school committee took the letter and just put it on file, and the recommendations were not made. So what happened here with these three reports, and on the second report, when the full school was tested, there was mold, the last time we talked about, there was mold in 5 rooms, which ended up being 6 rooms, and then they were retested. When they went back to do the big packet of testing, which is about 45 to 50, one room had outdoor things that were bought in, and that is the room that you notice that the level was, I should have had the room number for you. Which room is it?
1071.
Room 1071, page what?
6.
Page 6. So there were only 2 rooms that had a problem, and the level in that classroom is 61,240. And if you look on page 1, in the middle column for the outdoors, that's what we're comparing it to. The outdoor was 5,850. So there's no normal, but what we do is we compare it to the outdoors. So they test the field blank on the front page is what they do is they prime the instrument they're using, and then they do the outdoors. And on the very last page, they test the outdoors again. So you have the outdoors tested at the beginning and the outdoors test again, but that room is 61,240. And one of the things that you'll notice in the indoor air quality for schools, they tell you not to open the doors in between the rooms. So that room number, which is 1071, and if you flip the page to page 7, the room next door, which is 1073, is the only other room that is higher than the outdoors, which is 6,260. So those are the 2 rooms out of the 45 to 50 samples that are high out of the full school when it was tested the day before school was opening. And there were things bought in from the outside. When Madam Chair, myself, and one other person toured the school, there were the tennis balls on the bottoms of the rooms. There were a lot of rugs that were bought in from the outside. They still had the Febreze that were plugged into the walls that they would have been putting their Febreze into. There were a lot of things in this 2-page air thing that would add irritants. So I didn't know, we rebought this page and this page. I didn't know if maybe the board would like to resend these to the school committee as a reminder as to.
We'll just send them as a reminder. I'd send them and say, can you please disseminate this to your staff, not just file it.
Yeah, so I did send this to the school nurses to send them back out. So maybe the school nurses could help us get this out, because these are also to help with the ventilation, to help with the fresh air. Last week, there was a 25-page report on all the things that the city has done to help with the schools, and that was part of getting the kitchens and the buildings open and the building permits, were that there were so many buildings that had roofs and boilers and windows and paving, and the amount of money that's being spent on all the projects of the schools and getting building permits done and different things, and that was why the kitchens weren't inspected. But we need to make sure that, the air is good and the temperatures are kept within, the right degrees.
Right. So as the director said, member Keegan and myself and the director went on a tour of the building because of the initial reports, and we did find another room that appeared to have some moisture issues. The greater issue is that, so the city has spent over $1 million in this school trying to remediate some issues. They've purchased a chiller and trying to improve the ventilation system. That hasn't been installed yet. The source of all this moisture really has not been found. So I hate to say it, but until really the whole ventilation system is fixed, the mold issue could continue. And I believe it's October for when the chiller is going to be installed. And there are issues around the maintenance folks trying to control the moisture, but then room air conditioners are left, on and low, and there's moisture buildup in the rooms, and like we saw, the tennis balls on the things, and the list of things that the state folks recommended be done haven't been done. So it gets frustrating that, there is the money being spent, there is the concern, but we also need the cooperation of everyone in the building not to be bringing in things that.
I mean, the issue too, though, is that classroom items are growing mold. So we can say, don't bring in outdoor rugs, chairs, curtains, what have you, to make the room warm and inviting for these children. But these classroom materials, basic classroom materials, are breeding mold from the environment. So while we can, say that they, shouldn't be bringing these other things in, they point it flat out. They have things in the room that are contaminated. Yeah,
they definitely have a moisture issue in the building, and they haven't seemed to find the source of it.
So just not sorry to interrupt you, this chiller that everybody's waiting for in October, do they think that's going to solve the problem?
He thinks it's going to help bring down the relative humidity to below 40%, which is what it should be to help.
When you say chiller, right? I think
it's not it's
not an AC unit. It's a dehumidifier.
Again, I'm not going to speak on the HVAC system. I'm just saying.
I don't know. It was a recommendation, and they bought it, and it's
supposed to help reduce the
the moisture.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then the other thing is there's a roof issue, and apparently the last roofing contract may have not. May have had there's a problem with the roof and the way it was done.
Moisture then.
Yeah, and so they would I think they're saying the school needs a new roof, right?
There's a forensic report. The last time they were here, they talked about the forensic report that's not complete, and that will be complete in October as well. So we're waiting for the forensic report to be complete as well. So
there are still some things that have to be done in the school around.
Everything should be done in October.
Right, so my question for you now, fine, the air is fine, but the teachers are saying it's not in the air, it's on surfaces. What risk does that pose for the kids?
Right, so we're going to continue doing, now that the kids are back in school, we're going to continue doing the monthly mold.
Bill, it's my understanding that these reports should reflect the
what's
room,
on the surface, right?
Yes, not just the air, but the room itself.
Right.
My understanding also is that not every stain on a ceiling is mold, but it looks black, so I think it is. So have they tested those stains for mold?
What happened was when they saw those in in July, those were tested. So what they did was a strip test on them to test them, and that was why those rooms were cleaned under negative pressure.
So they did, so for
Correct.
visible
Yes.
mold, they
Yes.
did
Yes.
negative pressure cleaning.
Right, so we have a real positive mold testing in the school. We've done
Correct.
remediation to try and clean it up.
Correct.
Air quality seems good, which should reflect the surface.
Correct.
And we're comfortable saying that it's safe for kids to be in those rooms right now.
Correct. And we're going to continue monthly
I
this.
think we need to continue monthly, like throughout the entire year, and
Report.
not stop in June when the kids
Correct.
leave, because, you know, it just then, it becomes August and this rapid scramble to try to fix it again before these
Yeah,
teachers have to get
we
their
were
rooms
not
ready.
aware that they were
We-
going to
yeah.
stop the testing.
Right. And it's just 2
Yeah, so-
extra months, I mean, it's.
Right.
Yeah.
I might have suggested they could stop, so I apologize.
No, the board had asked to stop getting the reports. So the board had just asked to stop getting the reports because
But
they were
not- yeah,
negative.
not stop
Correct.
the
The board didn't ask to stop the testing to be done, correct? No, yes.
So now we will ask them to
So-
test in the summer.
Yeah, and while we were there, we did notice that, we noted that there was some peeling on the ceiling of the cafeteria, and we didn't like the thought of paint chips falling into the lunches.
Lead paint?
And, you know, the music room, et cetera. And so they were aware of it, and they had already set up for painting, and that's being done very soon.
Yes, some of the painting has already been done, and some of it will be done, I believe, this weekend.
This weekend,
And it's
so.
not old enough for lead paint, in all seriousness.
No.
Right.
No.
I suppose this building.
Yeah. What's that bubbling on that wall?
It's texturized.
So does the board want this letter to be resent with the indoor air quality to be circulated to all schools so that we can start with all schools for this? Okay,
It
so we
applies to
can
every
ask the
school, right?
secretary to do that?
Madam Secretary?
So a motion to resend the letter to, and have the Massachusetts guidelines, sent.
So we just,
The superintendent requesting it go out to all the schools, or?
I think it needs to go to every single teacher, so I don't know what motion you have to make to get it to every teacher, but every teacher should see those guidelines, and we need to know that every teacher saw those guidelines.
Well, they are available on
Yeah.
the, if anybody wants to look tonight, they are on the website for the Board of Health, they're on the packet, and they're linked, they can go in and check them, but.
No,
How do you want to do the rest of
Human,
them?
human behavior is, I'm sorry, unless you
I
put
think
it
we
in
need
someone's face,
to
that's you need to
request
follow
that
it.
each school principal share it with their staff and discuss how these things can happen. Ensure that they happen.
Are we going to the superintendent requesting that?
I think the superintendent and the school committee.
Superintendent, send it
Sure
to the
job.
superintendent and CC the school committee, and request that the superintendent share it with each building leader.
Ultimately, every
So that they
all-staff
can,
members
and,
should-
yeah, so that they can then share it with a discussion with their staff member, in some way ensure that these things happen. Because,
Okay, so right now I have a motion to resend the letter, including the mass guidelines that were in the packet, to the superintendent and the school committee requesting it be sent to all principals to disseminate to staff. I just need somebody to make that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I would just make one other comment, when you do send it to them, you should make a note that you and Chairwoman Keegan actually toured and saw multiple of these things being done in the school, so that they understand that this is happening right now in the school.
Right. The Lowell Sun had pictures of the tennis balls, and she reflected the picture in the Lowell Sun.
Awesome. You resend that picture of that again, send the article.
Thank you for sending it to the nurses, though.
Welcome.
okay. Any other
My last just question comment. So there is a letter from the teachers of the Pawtucket
Oh, yes.
Memorial Schools. So are somebody going to address the letter with the teachers? Is somebody going to respond to them?
So I believe that this was written as an anonymous letter to Board Member Keegan. So I'm not sure who the teacher was who sent it to you or how the email got to you, so.
Yeah, it was actually sent from somebody else as they were sending it into the paper. I believe it went to the Lowell Sun as well.
So it was sent as an anonymous, and she
Got it.
asked for it to be shared with the board.
Got it.
So I'm not sure, so it wasn't like this is this teacher
Well,
who.
I mean, if
so-
we're having the superintendent email out.
That'll be a
the
response.
recommendations, we
So,
can, you know, and do we need how can we get the company to test throughout the year? How do we get them to continue testing?
Well, I believe I've already spoken to the DPW commissioner, and I believe that's already something that was going to be done. So, I mean, I can double check with the city manager and make sure that continues, but that was one of the things that the teachers union had asked for last year, so I don't believe that's stopping, so, but I'll double check.
They did test the other 2 months. We just didn't get it in the packet, right?
No.
No, they didn't. They stopped testing at the end of the school year. Yeah, yeah.
I was confused on that.
Which didn't make sense because the issues always come up around the humidity levels and the mold in the summer. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense to just do it monthly, year round.
we can still say that as a board, that's what we recommend that. We recommend the letter go out. We recommend sending it to all staff, and the staff make some of the corrections in their rooms, right? And we're expecting that the chiller will be in place in October and will impact that as well.
So the chiller and the testing, I believe now are going to be done by the city. So the city's going to do the chiller and the tester versus the school department. So that's going to be on our side. So the city's going to be doing that.
That's just politics. I don't know. As long as someone's doing it.
And in terms of a response to the teachers, the director of HHS has been in communication, conversation with the teachers' union representative, reviewing what's being done and what, address some of her concerns.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the director's report.
I know that last month the chair had asked for the dates for the flu vaccines, so I don't have a flyer, but the employee and retiree flu clinic will be here on Friday, the 15th, from 9 to 11. And then October, sorry. And then we will start the clinics at the health department on Tuesday, the 22nd, from 3 to 6, and then October 29th, 4 to 7. We did put, I believe it's in your packet, the flyer for homebound patients. So the state is going to do homebound COVID and flu shots for patients. They're doing that this year. So that is something new. So we did add that to your packages. So, and I think that's on our webpage as well.
Yeah, and so if I could just mention for the viewing audience that if you have someone that's homebound and needs COVID or flu vaccinations, they should call 833-983-0485. And they're able to schedule an appointment so that someone could come to the house Monday through Friday between 9 and 5, in case folks at home are interested. And what about in terms of COVID vaccines through the health department?
So we have to buy it through McKesson again. So there's a little bit of a delay because right now it's available at CVS and Walgreens. So they put them out to the big companies first. So there's a little bit of a delay for us to get it. So we haven't secured an order for it just yet. But the new COVID vaccine is available at the big pharmacies.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Nope, go ahead. Any questions?
So we have in the packet the public health report and the substance abuse division report. Any questions on those?
Quick question on the syringes, on the community cleanup events. Are we just not doing, I mean, it's listed 0 across the board the entire year. We're just not doing them?
So usually what he writes in there for those is like if he does a cleanup like on a Saturday, which I don't know why he didn't write in there because he did do Folk Fest. So I don't know why he didn't include that as a community event, but maybe he added that as something else.
I mean, if it's gotta be 0, you might as well get rid of it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the co-op numbers might be a little off because she changed the way of her reporting. And the co-op, unfortunately, the sheriff's office at Summer Street closed. So the co-op has relocated to the health department at 107 Merrimack Street because they're changing. They don't know what they're doing with their department at Summer Street. So everybody's cozy at the health department right now. So we had a little bit of a change. We had about a 2-week turnaround for them to move. So.
Just one other question. Under D, vaccines by public health nurses on the public health nurse division report.
D vaccines?
Section D.
Oh, yeah, Section D, yep.
Does that include vaccines that were administered at the ICC or?
No, because we did not give
You
those
didn't do
vaccines. We, it was a mobile clinic that did the vaccines.
Oh,
We
okay.
didn't do those. Correct. Yep.
Wouldn't want to not ask a question on the public health nursing report. Okay. Any other questions, concerns, or do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Thank you. Meeting adjourned.